Alright, starting on the AC. I know I have these parts in the garage somewhere, but I can't find them, so I just ordered new ones or a used one. A new Denso compressor. This is probably a better idea anyways. First thing I gotta do is bolt this on the block, bolt that on, and make sure it actually clears that front cross member or subframe. It might not, I might need to space the subframe down. But we'll see. And because these cars don't use the front and left mounts like the later B series, or B series in general, on this bracket I'm just going to cut this whole piece, off. So I found the condenser I wanted to have had a built-in dryer, only it's out of stock, no clue when it's going to come back in, so I just decided to go with the actual stock style condenser. That just means I'll have to add a dryer somewhere in the system. And one nice thing about this is it's an updated design. It's a parallel flow design, and the original design is a cross flow. And you can tell the difference because the parallel looks kind of like a radiator, has like a tank on each end, and lines going across. That cross flow is like just one continuous line that snakes back and forth. And the parallel flow is more efficient in the cross flow design, but you can't flush it. So if the compressor ever fails and there's debris in here, I just got to replace it. And for the fan, it's got a cheapo one, which is slightly too big. I want to get as big fan as I could, which it'll probably still work, but if not, I'll just go down one size. Hopefully there's enough room to mount it as a pusher, so I keep the room inside the engine bay. Otherwise I'll just have to mount it however it fits. Alright, I made 1/2-inch spacers for each side. And now I'm able to bolt the bracket in. There's like maybe a 1/4 inch space between the bottom of the bracket and the subframe. The only thing is, looking at this hole, I'm not so sure this is going to go through there. I may need to pull the whole subframe and put it up from underneath, or maybe I can take this out or something to move the radiator. I don't know. We'll see. Well, that's unfortunate. Looks like it's hammer time. Right after some bashing on the chassis down there, there's clearance, or there's enough room to sneak a belt by it. If it's sideways, that'll be good enough. Other than that, it fits pretty good. I'm just fitting the condenser. And I don't have the top brackets, so I'll have to make something up to hold it in place. I tried the 10-inch fan. That's not going to fit, it's just too big. So I just ordered a 7-inch, which should just fit. For the dryer, I'm not sure where I'm going to mount it either. If there's room, I'll mount it here. If there's not room here, I'll mount it underneath the battery tray. Just down there, so you won't really be able to see it. I'll keep all the lines real low. So it should be a pretty clean setup. Alright, I ordered all the fittings and hoses I need to do the AC system, so now I'm gonna take care of this evaporator box, install the new evaporator and the expansion valve. And it looks like it's pretty much the same thing as how the third generated one was put together. Alright, the AC parts came in, got the hose, a bunch of fittings, the dryer, and a little baby fan. Alright, got the lines created, the fan mounted, just fits. There's a dryer that also just fits under the battery tray. And they're the charge ports. So now, last thing I gotta do. Well, next thing I'm gonna do is just vacuum the system and leave it and make sure it's actually sealed. But I have to make the whole AC wiring harness. That I keep spares. So this is what I found out of my connector collection. Got 2 relays for the AC system and the diode off a 3rd gen Prelude. It's all 3rd gen actually. And I kind of have an idea of how I want the system to work. So I'm going to wire it up and see how it goes. Alright, I just charged it and it's working great. Pretty cold in there. It's not a super hot day though, so I'll have to see if I need to add more refrigerant. Right now, it's pretty great. Last thing I gotta do to get this all buttoned up is on the bumper, the metal part, I need to trim a little bit because this hits it. Other than that, it's ready to drive. Alright, so I don't really like the ride quality on these case boards. So I've decided to go with a little bit, or like the next level up. These are Annex Coilovers with lower spring rates, 8K front, 4K rear. And the case boards are 12 and 6. So I went with the Swift Spring upgrade. And these guys are actually based out of California. So, you know, when I bought them, they send you a questionnaire. You fill out information about how you're driving, and you know where you're driving, how you want to use the car, and they help you pick the spring rates. And these are, you know, fully rebuildable. If I ever have a problem or if I want to change spring rates, I can send it back and they can make adjustments. The install on these is a little bit more complicated than just like, you know, case boards. First thing I have to do is I need to install it without the spring, and then put the wheel on, and then compress the suspension, and basically make sure that the wheel doesn't hit anything before the bump stop engages. And if it does, I need to adjust the lower mount. Okay, I've got the bump stop fully compressed. I adjusted the mount until I always have clearance on the tire and the upper control arm, for that matter. Yeah, so it's good both directions. So now I'm going to pull this back off and then set the other one to the same length, and I'll assemble everything for the final time. Alright, I'm finally working on the pedal assembly, or the clutch. So I'm getting rid of this old hydraulic conversion. And what I'm going to do, basically I've copied the Prelude dimensions, or I've written them down. I need to basically, from the pivot point to the center here, needs to be ½ inch longer. So I need to extend it. And then after that, I'm going to have to cut this piece off. And right now, I may switch to a different master, but right now I got a 92 to 95 Civic master. I'll mount it somewhere up in here, and I'll build something that comes off the pedal to push the rod as it swings in. The next step is just to get the pedal extended, get this out, because after I extend the pedal, you know, I want it to stay the same height, so I need to actually move this whole pivot point on the assembly up ½ inch as well. Here are the first mods. Went ahead and drilled a hole, have it ½ inch higher. I extended the pedal. Well, it seems to line up well. Now I'm going to put it back in the car and start figuring out how to hook up the master cylinder to the pedal. Probably have to build some kind of arm that comes off it, like kind of like the stock one. So I don't think there's enough room to be in line. And once I get everything done, as far as figuring out the pedal and the master cylinder, I'm going to come back in, basically reinforce this whole thing, because this is pretty flimsy. And I think these break even just with the stock clutch, where they start to crack. And same with the brake. The brake's pretty thin up here too, so I'll probably add like a second plate right here just to give it a little bit more strength. All right, here's where it's at. So it all seems to work how I want it, even though that's not secured yet. I tried to put it up in here, but there's just not enough room. It's just too long. So now is the tedious part, where I gotta build a backing plate that comes off the main bracket and comes and mounts that to the master cylinder. It'll sit roughly there. Alright, here's a minimum viable product. Basically just tacked together, but it seems to work fine. It's actually fairly easy to service too. You just take the bolts out and it drops right out. No extra bracing or anything yet. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to hook up the fluid lines and actually try to bleed it. And to do that, I believe I'll actually have to pull it out with the lines hooked up, flip it like this and pump it like that to get the air to come out, because otherwise I'll get air bubbles trapped up in here. But after I get all the air out of here, with it flipped upside down, I can put it back in and do the final bleed. Alright, the first try to bleed it was the whole thing was too flimsy. It was just flexing. So I went in and added all this extra bracing. This piece right here. And it still needs another piece down here, maybe coming off here, because it does still flex a little bit, but I got it bled. It feels good. Feels like a stock Honda pedal. So it's getting there. This is all tacked together. I haven't fully welded everything, but alright, it's complete. There's the brace. I added the clutch return spring up there. Alright, I test drove it. Clutch is working great. Feels just like stock. The only problem is I haven't driven it in like 3 weeks. And on the test drive, this caliper started locking up and it just stayed locked up. So the pad's pretty much toasted. Same with the rotor. But I was going to convert it to the Type R size brakes anyways. So I already had those on hand. And I already bought the parts for the rear disc conversion. So I'm going to do that now. I'd planned on doing it a little bit later, but there's no point in replacing this caliper and this rotor just to switch out kind of soonish, so I'll just do it all now. And to start on that, I want to powder coat all these, so I've been breaking them down, and it's a good thing, because when I took apart the right hand side, and these are brand new, the bore is full of like metal shavings, I guess. Kind of dirty in there, so I'm glad I took them apart. The left hand side seems okay, but I'll get that all cleaned up, get them powder coated. Same with the rears. Here they are, powder coated and put back together. For the disc brake conversion, I got the e-brake cables. Rear rotors is actually third-gen Prelude ones, but pretty low miles. Pads, and here are the brackets that are supposed to work. And I have random braided lines One of these should work for the rear. And for the front, in addition to the pads, I got the Mini Cooper rotors, which have the right spacing for right bolt pattern and right spacing for the Type R front calipers. Alright, I'm just throwing it together real quick as a mock-up. Make sure I got all the right parts. Spacing's good, I just had to add a spacer. So now I'm going to pull it all apart again and actually do the final install.